we don't provide a menu of due diligence options, just the opposite. We work with each sponsor to understand what they would want to build, whatever it is they want to build. So, for example, we have sponsors such as Rastegar, which does a very thorough due diligence and has a multi-point checklist that in some cases can be over 100, points that have to be reviewed and confirmed. But those 100 points were because of Rastegar as a sponsor developing it. That is their intellectual property. So what we don't want to do, because we think this takes away from the sponsor, we don't want to say to the sponsor, here are some samples, or here's 20 things we recommend, because then where's the value the sponsor has? What we do is just the opposite. We sit down with the sponsor and say, what is important to you in your decision making? Where do you want to put your own money? And so some place like Rastegar probably is much more intensive than other sponsors. But I think they do that because Rastegar wants to have a highly reproducible and scalable process, where so often many sponsors just have their niche, have their area. They don't need more than maybe 15 or 16 things to check. Let me give you some examples. So some examples, and let's just go over that process. So first, there's screening. We typically don't get involved with the screening because the screening, once you define what's important, can be done by the sponsor, such as, hey, I prefer multifamily properties that are minimum of this size in these specific locations, given this type of age. I'm looking for this type of NOI. The screening usually is the information that comes on that sales sheet from a broker. You don't need anyone to do that. That's what a sponsor can probably do in their sleep. So that's screening. Next is underwriting. Underwriting is where, hey, a sponsor has seen something, I got it. I spent 3 minutes. I like the cap rate. I like the location. It fits into what I think makes sense. Pictures look pretty, and the person who brought it to me is trustworthy. Great. That was 3 minutes. Now you need to do a full underwriting. And underwriting is where we step in typically. That's where we come in and as a firm start to do what we call due diligence. So there's the underwriting due diligence. The underwriting due diligence is taking all the information about the property, going out and researching even more information about the property, comparable pricing, other transactions that have occurred in the area. We'll actually call out, we'll typically have one of our analysts make physical phone calls to, let's say, competitors. If it's an apartment building, we'll find an apartment building close by and call up and pretend to be a potential tenant and ask, how many vacancies do you have? How much do these units, cost? Can they give us referrals to other tenants that were happy there? So that we can pull in market comps, which is very important. We'll also pull the actual information from whatever public databases are available for, sale price, purchase price, taxes, other things. And then it's our job to also go through any other type of premium databases that either our clients have requested that we utilize, or that we have, which is typically industry standard as well. We then take that underwriting information and we put it into a model. If our client does not have models that they would like to use, we can provide standard models. Models are typically very standard. There's nothing unique in a model. There's no special sauce or intellectual property in a model. The hard part is having the model so it doesn't take building from scratch, which can take days, if not weeks. We just use models we've already built. We populate the model, we take the results, and then we present the results to our sponsor. As I said before, we can then be part of that yay or nay process once the model has been completed and presented, because once a model's built, pretty straightforward. It's not that hard to figure out if something's a fit or not. If you have the right information, you've collected it so you know the authenticity and accuracy and fidelity of that information. You've put it into a standard model, one that isn't being built on the fly, that may have a problem or an error in the calculations, but one that's been tested and proven. The results are then the results. At that point, and I think this is an important part, that's where a sponsor would either say, yes, let me sign an agreement that's tentative around the next level of due diligence, or no, I'm not ready to sign, basically a PSA or some sort of agreement, to move forward. Once a PSA is signed, there's typically anywhere from a 14-day to 60-day period where everything that we think makes sense, we now have to go out and verify, right? One is screening. which is just back of napkin. Two is underwriting. Let me go get data. And then if everyone likes the data, third is verification of everything that we're assuming in the model. Based upon the verification, actually going out and seeing the property and realizing, oh my God, they took pictures of the bedrooms and bathrooms 5 years ago. Now look at them. These aren't, we are going to need to add more money to renovations. Or we're taking a look at the parking lot and this is not safe. We're gonna have to add more money for lights and protection. That verification then goes back into the model as part of underwriting. You then get a final result of your model. That is when a sponsor would do what we call go or no go on moving forward with making their deposit go hard. That's it. Very simple and very standard.